In today's world, it's a sad but true reality. There are many women in the church who, instead of strengthening faith, can end up destroying a man's spiritual life. These are not just women of bad character, but often carry the spirit of Jezebel, a dangerous spirit that seeks to lead hearts astray and pull men of God away from their true path. If you've ever wondered how to protect your spiritual life from these influences, this video is exactly what you need. In this guide, we'll explore the signs that differentiate a true godly woman from those who can bring ruin. You will learn to identify the characteristics that really matter so that you don't fall into the traps of women who often seem pious but have destructive intentions. Knowing how to recognize a godly woman is crucial to protecting your heart, your faith, and your future. So stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you the 10 essential points that reveal the heart of a woman truly dedicated to God. This is a journey that can change the way you view relationships and protect your walk with the Lord. Don't miss a single detail. Your spiritual life may depend on it. 1. She fears the Lord. A godly woman stands out because of her fear of the Lord, something that transcends mere respect and is reflected in every decision, word, and action. This fear is not about being scared but about having deep reverence, which shapes her character and makes her life a reflection of the beauty that comes from being devoted to the Creator. A woman who fears God knows that her true beauty is not just in her appearance, but in the grace that emanates from a soul that seeks to please God above all. This type of woman understands that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, as Proverbs 1 verse 7 teaches. She is not swayed by trends or fleeting opinions, as her foundation is firmly rooted in the eternal principles of the Word. Imagine a situation where everyone around her is making hasty decisions without reflection. The woman who fears God stands out for her patience and discernment, knowing that everything should be laid before Him in prayer. Finally, a godly woman does not conform to the patterns of this world, but seeks to be transformed by the renewing of her mind, as in Romans 12 verse 2. She distances herself from negative influences, conscious that she may attract the attention of men who do not share the same fear. By doing so, she protects her heart and her relationships, knowing that the right company is the one that draws her closer to God, not the one that pulls her away. 2. She is wise. Wisdom is one of the most admirable traits in a godly woman. She understands that true wisdom does not come only from books or life experience, but is a gift from God to those who sincerely seek Him. When facing life's challenges, this woman acts with discernment, avoiding rash decisions and always seeking divine guidance before acting. She stands out in the face of adversity because she is not shaken by the storms, but finds her anchor in God. In her daily life, the wise woman knows how to avoid unnecessary conflicts, using words that build up rather than tear down. She remembers Proverbs 31 verse 26, which says, "She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue." If you observe her in a tense environment, you will notice that she is the voice of calm and reason, often managing to calm situations with her tranquil presence and precise words. This sets her apart, as her wisdom comes from above and not merely from earthly experience. Moreover, this wisdom makes her an example to follow, both for other women and for men who seek a partner with the same vision. However, it is necessary to be vigilant because the brilliance of this wisdom can attract those who wish to manipulate her for their own ends. Therefore, it is essential that she remains vigilant, always seeking God's confirmation in her decisions and keeping her faith as a guide in all areas of life. 3. She is discreet. Discretion is a rare jewel in the life of a godly woman, something that sets her apart in a world where excessive exposure is often encouraged. She understands that her presence doesn't need to be loudly announced to be noticed. Her behavior, attitudes, and posture speak for themselves. By dressing with modesty, she doesn't seek to draw attention to herself, but rather to reflect the grace and dignity that God has placed in her heart. In her daily interactions, this woman knows when to speak and, more importantly, when to remain silent. Her discretion is a reflection of her wisdom, as she understands that there are moments when silence can be more powerful than words. In delicate situations, she acts with prudence, avoiding hasty judgments and preferring to listen more than speak. This attitude often saves her from embarrassment and keeps her away from unnecessary conflicts. Additionally, the discreet godly woman is a subtle yet powerful influence on the lives of those around her. Her presence brings peace and a spiritual fragrance that lingers in the places she visits. She doesn't need to draw attention to her exterior because the shine of her interior is what truly matters. However, this discretion can also make her the target of misunderstandings, where those who don't comprehend her depth might underestimate her. It is at this moment that her trust in God becomes her strength, knowing that he sees the true value of her heart. 4. She is virtuous. Virtue is the foundation that upholds the life of a godly woman, a quality that is evident in every aspect of her existence. She doesn't just talk about God but lives a life that exudes his presence in her actions and choices. Her virtue is seen in her commitment to prayer, in her dedication to reading the Word, and in her willingness to serve others with a generous heart. She understands that her strength comes from an intimate relationship with the Lord, and that is what truly makes her virtuous. This virtuous woman knows that her life is a living testimony of the faith she professes. She is the faithful helper, the one who, as in Proverbs 31, reaches out her hands to the poor and needy. Her virtues are not just for her own benefit, but are constantly directed towards blessing those around her. Whether in her family, her community, or her church, she stands out for her generosity and willingness to make a difference in the lives of others. However, it is essential to be cautious, as this virtue can attract those who seek to take advantage of her goodness and willingness. The godly woman must, therefore, keep her eyes fixed on God, carefully discerning those who approach her. After all, her greatest virtue is knowing that her reward comes from the Lord, and it is to him that she owes all her faithfulness and dedication. 5. She is strong. The strength of a godly woman does not lie in her physical capabilities, but in the depth of her faith and the resilience of her spirit. She knows that while life's battles can often be arduous, her strength comes from the Lord, and it is in prayer and supplication that she finds the sustenance she needs to continue. This spiritual strength enables her to face challenges that many would consider insurmountable, always confident that God is by her side, strengthening her every step of the way. When observing such a woman, it is easy to see that her strength manifests in subtle but powerful ways. When everyone around her is on the brink of despair, she remains firm, remembering that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4 verse 13. It is not the strength of her own arms that sustains her, but the assurance that God is her refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This inner strength makes her a true rock, unshakable even in the most difficult situations. However, it is important to remember that this strength also makes her a target of envy and misunderstandings. Some may mistake her confidence in God for arrogance or pride, without understanding that her strength comes from a deep humility before the Creator. The godly woman must, therefore, always be alert, knowing that her true strength lies in her total dependence on God and in her ability to submit to His will, even when everything seems to be falling apart. 6. She is full of faith. Faith is the central pillar in the life of a godly woman, an element that shapes her decisions and guides her steps. She understands that without faith, it is impossible to please God, and that is why she cultivates this faith daily, seeking nourishment from the Word and prayer to keep her steadfast. In moments of uncertainty, while many succumb to fear, she remains unshakable, fully trusting that God is in control of all things and that He has a greater purpose for her life. This woman of faith does not live by sight, but by what she believes. When adversities arise, she does not despair but turns to God, knowing that He is her ever-present help in times of trouble. The faith she carries is a light in the darkness, guiding her along paths that many would avoid out of fear or doubt. Like Abraham, who by faith obeyed without knowing where he was going, Hebrews 11 verse 8. This woman also follows God's direction, confident that He will never forsake her. However, this robust faith can be misunderstood by those who do not share the same belief. They may think that her confidence is a form of denial of reality, when in fact, it is an affirmation of God's power over all things. The godly woman must, therefore, be firm in her faith, but also compassionate towards those who do not yet understand the depth of this relationship with the Creator. In this way, her life of faith becomes a living testimony, capable of inspiring and transforming the hearts of those around her. 7. She is hardworking. A godly woman is known for her diligence and commitment in everything she does. She understands that work is not just an obligation but a way to glorify God and serve others. That's why she strives to perform her tasks with excellence, not seeking human recognition, but knowing that her true reward comes from the Lord. Her dedication to work is an expression of her faith, demonstrating that in everything, she seeks to do her best because she knows she is working for the King of Kings. This woman does not spare effort to fulfill her responsibilities, whether at home, at work, or in the church. She is the one who, as in Proverbs 31 verse 13, works with willing hands. Her zeal and commitment are evident, and those who live with her soon realize her ability to transform the environment with her willingness and energy. She is a woman who does not wait for things to happen, but strives to make a difference, knowing that God honors those who work with integrity and fervor. However, the godly woman must be careful not to fall into the trap of burnout. The desire to serve and always do her best can sometimes lead her to take on more than she can bear. It is essential that she seeks God's wisdom to balance her responsibilities, knowing that even rest is an important part of her spiritual journey. In this way, she continues to be a tireless worker, but also a wise servant who knows when it's time to stop and renew her strength in God. 8. She is faithful. Faithfulness is an unmistakable mark in the life of a godly woman. She understands that being faithful is a daily choice that involves commitment and loyalty in all areas of her life. Her faithfulness is evident in her relationship with God, where she constantly seeks to live according to divine principles, even when no one is watching. She knows that her integrity is a reflection of her faith, and that is why she strives to be faithful in all her actions, words, and thoughts. This faithful woman is a pillar in her family and community. People know they can count on her because her word is her bond. As Luke 16 verse 10 teaches, whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much, and this is a truth she applies daily. Whether in her promises, her marriage, or her commitments in the church, she demonstrates that faithfulness is not just a character trait, but a tangible manifestation of her love for God and others. However, this faithfulness also makes her vulnerable to challenges, especially in a world where infidelity seems to be increasingly common. The godly woman must always be vigilant, protecting her heart and relationships from the temptations that may arise. She knows that her faithfulness is a powerful testimony, capable of inspiring others to follow the same path, and that is why she remains firm, trusting that God will strengthen her in all circumstances. 9. She is sensible. Sensibility is a characteristic that defines the godly woman in her daily interactions and decisions. She acts with prudence and discernment, always carefully evaluating situations before responding or acting. Her sensibility is the result of a life in communion with God, where she constantly seeks wisdom to deal with challenges in a fair and balanced way. This quality makes her a reliable counselor, someone others turn to for guidance, knowing that her words are well considered and guided by the Holy Spirit. In tense moments, the sensibility of this woman becomes even more evident. She is not swayed by fleeting emotions or impulses, but prefers to analyze the situation calmly, considering all possibilities before making a decision. As in Proverbs 15 verse 28, the heart of the righteous ponders how to answer. She is careful with her words, avoiding misunderstandings or unnecessary conflicts. Her balanced and calm approach reflects her trust in God and her determination to always seek peace. However, the godly woman must be aware that her sensibility may be perceived by some as indecision or coldness. It is crucial that she remains firm in her principles, remembering that her priority is to please God and act according to His will, not to seek human approval. In this way, she continues to be a sensible woman whose life is a testimony of wisdom and prudence, inspiring others to also seek to live justly and balanced. 10. She has good eyes. Having good eyes is an essential quality in a godly woman because it reflects the way she sees the world and the people around her. She chooses to see the best in situations and in people, even when it's not evident to everyone. This positive perspective is a reflection of her faith because she believes that everyone is capable of change and that God is working in every heart. With her good eyes, she avoids quick judgment and prefers to offer mercy and compassion, following Christ's example. In her daily life, this woman demonstrates her kindness through small actions that make a big difference. She is the one who, upon seeing someone in difficulty, reaches out to help, whether with a word of encouragement or with a concrete action. She looks at others with God's eyes, recognizing the value and potential He has placed in every human being. Her presence is a source of comfort and inspiration because her good eyes bring light to any environment she frequents. However, having good eyes also requires discernment because not everyone deserves unconditional trust. The godly woman must be careful not to be deceived by appearances or smooth words that may hide intentions contrary to what is good and just. Even so, she chooses to continue seeing the world with hope, knowing that God can transform even the darkest situations into something beautiful. And so, with her good eyes, she continues to illuminate the path of others, inspiring them to also see the best in everything. Think carefully. How do these characteristics align with the women you know in your church, in your circle of friends, or even in a relationship? These qualities are not just a list, but a practical guide to protect your faith and ensure that you connect with people who truly build your walk with God. Perhaps it is time to reevaluate your choices and surround yourself with women who can be spiritual partners, not stumbling blocks. If this video helped you see things more clearly, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this content with others who also need to know how to identify a true woman of God. Your spiritual life may depend on the people you surround yourself with, so keep learning and strengthening yourself in the Word. We are in this journey together.